Hey, Vicky, could you come give me a hand, please?
Yeah, what do you need?
I dropped the headspace gauge over there by the wooden workbench, and I think it went underneath. I couldn't hear when it hit, you know, because I'm freaking deaf, and I think it's went between those boxes right there. Now, I think it went way back in there, I think. I tried to see it, and I couldn't see it. I think it's way back in there. Like, you know, way back in there. Further, it's way back in there. You see it?
I found this. You jerk!
Hi, we are doing something that is completely new to us today, and so I thought we would make a little video out of it and, you know, show you guys some of this stuff. So, check that out. So I don't know if you guys can see this, so I'm going to hold these up. So that is a 30 Nosler, which is a fairly big cartridge, and that is a 338 Lapua, and that is a 33 XC with a 300 grain burger in it. So this is a heck of a big cartridge. This is the biggest cartridge that I've ever chambered, and really there's not so many that are actually bigger than that. I mean, until you get into the Shitax and the 50 BMG. Okay, so this is what we're building, and the barrel, this end of the barrel has actually already been chambered, and obviously this is going to have a brake. Now here's the thing, I've already made a video, you guys know how I feel about brakes. This is a Harl's brake right here. I have drilled the hole out, but the hole was not full size, so the hole is going to end up being bored, like B-O-R-E-D. But where I'm at in the lathe over here is I've turned my tenon and I've threaded it. That is 24 threads per inch. And actually, I'm going to show you this. I don't know whether you'll be able to see this. So this is what the brake is. It's inch on the outside, 3/4 on the inside, and 24 TPI. Now this is what it really measures. 1.001, 0.760 by 24. Okay, so here's the thing. Whenever you do anything, you have to decide how close to perfection that you actually want to come. And the thing about it is, the closer you try to get to absolute perfection, in a way, the more trouble you cause for yourself. But the upside of that is, if you get everything absolutely perfect, in other words, it fits as good as it can possibly fit, I fully believe that that's one of the reasons why our guns shoot so well. It's because everything is just simply as good as I can possibly make it. But, like I said, that also causes some problems, and that's what this video is about. So, this is the way the brake came. Like I said, except for drilling it out, I haven't really done anything to it. These come with a 1/4 inch pilot hole in them. This is 338. So this is going to end up being 338, 348, 358 when I finally bore it, but I will bore it when it's actually installed in our setup. But if you come over here and you measure this, depending on how you hold this, this is about 360 and a half. All right, now, so you realize, though, that this is supposed to be 3/4 of an inch on the inside. That's 750, not 760. So if you just wanted to do it just to get it done and you didn't care about perfection, you would simply turn your tenon, to an outside diameter of 750. And if you did that, it would work, but it wouldn't work what I call perfect. All right, so what I did is I actually turned the tenon to like 762. It was actually, I got it down to about 770, and then I went 769, 68, 67, 66, and what I do is I keep trying it to see if it'll slide on whenever this is smooth before it's threaded. All right, and so 66, 65, 64, 63, 62, then I start trying to go by half a thou. All right, so 62, 61 and a half, literally until I get it so that it just slides on there. And I mean as tight as it can possibly be. All right, so when you've turned your tenon to that outside diameter, which is quite a bit larger, and then you thread it, okay, it's threaded 24 TPI, and I'm going to need something here so I can show you. Part of the, let's see if I can show, this might be really hard to see. In fact, I might have to, I'm going to put a flashlight on this, whether that'll help or not. So you realize you cut a shoulder here, and the shoulder has to be square, right there where that pointer is. The shoulder has to be square, and this is, I threaded as close to the shoulder as I could possibly get without slamming into it. Okay, and that's the end of the thread cut right there. All right, so you have the shoulder, you have the end of the thread cut there. I did not cut a relief in there. All that is right there is for the end of the tool, the radius on the end of the tool. All right, now here's something else when you cut a tenon. You have to decide how long the tenon is. That is, how long is it from here to here? And they don't supply you with that measurement, okay? They don't give you that measurement. What you have to do is you have to measure it yourself. And again, come over here and look inside here so you can understand what I'm saying. Okay? They have a little bit of a thread relief right there. Again, I'm going to have to put a flashlight on that. So they got a little bit of a thread relief right there, and then it's threaded, and then the same issue. They have the same exact problem. When it gets down there to right where the body of the brake is, there's a piece of section in there that's not threaded. And the reason is because it's very, very difficult to thread right up against something. All right? So you've got a little bit of relief right there, and down in there, literally the thread just ends as close as they could get it up to that. You know what? I don't know if you're going to be able to see what I'm saying here. So this, here, why don't you hold that flashlight with your other hand? Okay, so this is the relief, a little bit of relief right there, then the threads, and then right down there, the last thread ends, and then you've got a little wee gap right there until you come up against the body of the brake. All right, so, oh wait, I should show you what I mean. So there's no good way, at least that I've found, I'm sure some real machinist out there would know, how do you measure that? Well, I put 3X cheaters on there, and I take my calipers, and I reach down in there, and I try to figure out about where the last thread is. And I have it written down. It was 605. 605 was about what I thought that it was. Okay, so you turn your tenon to whatever length that you think that you need, and you notice right here, I always cut it long. So I'm at 615 approximately, and there's still a little bit of a burr on here, so it's actually probably less than that, but I just got done turning this. So approximately 614, it depends how you hold it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I'm trying to show you. The thing is, we think it's long. We don't know whether it's long or not. So, okay. So once you get this done, come on over here. You know, you'd think, okay, well now all I got to do is screw it on, right? And I want you to really pay attention here, because this is why I make everything to the dimensions I do. It'd be a million times easier on me if I didn't. But the idea here is perfection for the sake of perfection, not necessarily for functionality. I just want it perfect. All right, so you screw it in there, and you can see this is not going all that easy. And as it comes up, it goes harder and harder and harder, just simply because of the thread tolerances stacking up on each other. And as you get it down here, you tighten it, and you'd be like, well, I really want this shoulder to slam into that shoulder. And I have to stop here for a second because I want to show you something. I doubt you can see this, but look, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a piece of paper, which is about 3 thou, that's 0.003, and I'm going to put that in there. And see, I can just get it to drag on it. So what that tells me is that I have a gap in there, right there. See, I can almost pinch it, not quite. So no matter how you look at it, I have a gap in there of about 3 thou. Okay, so here's the magic question. Where is the interference, right? Because when you look over here, you got to realize there's multiple places where that interference could be. All right? So, I mean, you could have a tenon that the diameter is too big, right back there in the shoulder, but that's not it, because like I said, I undercut it just a little bit for the end of the tool, for the radius on the tool, and it goes on. So that's not it, right? But where interference definitely could be is from here to here. In other words, it's too long. So it's from right there to right there is too long, from here to there. So what we're saying potentially is this last thread no longer has any place to go in here, and it's hitting up against the unthreaded portion, and it won't let it go to the rear. Okay, that's one place it can be. The second place it can be is because there's a radius on this, all right? It doesn't look like it, but just trust me, there is. There's a slight radius right there. Well, this shoulder is as square as I could get it, and this won't sound, what I'm about to say doesn't sound right, but what I'm trying to say is you can't put a round radius into a square corner. There's a little bit of place in there where there'll be some interference. And so it may not be going because of this. It may not be going because of that, which is because of that right in there, okay? Or it's possible, and sometimes this is what it is, that, let me see if I can see this. See the thread ended right there. Right there. So there's a little bit of space right in there, not very dang much, where I was afraid to get any closer to the shoulder. So it could be that we simply don't have enough threads going to the shoulder, so that what's happening is the thread in the brake is slamming into that groove right there, and it has nowhere to go. All right. So that's a whole big long-winded explanation of stuff that really doesn't matter to you guys. What matters is that when I put brakes on, this happens all the time because I try to cut the dimensions so tight. If I just made it sloppy, it would be easy. You could just, cut it undersized, everything would fit, it would go on, the shoulders would come together, and probably it would work, but it's not perfect. All right, see, that's the deal. It's not perfect. So I always cut everything as tight as I can get it because I actually believe stuff works better. So here's the thing. Watch this. So I'm going to screw this on here. And again, you probably can't see it, but we have just a super small gap right there between those two shoulders. Now here's the thing, and this is what this video is really about. I mean, yes, it's about making things perfect, but what it's really about is this. Let's see if you can see this. Okay? I've only had this now for about, I don't know what, 3 or 4 or 5 months. And I'm not going into this because there's 9 million reviews of this on 9 million other videos on YouTube. So I'm just not going to go into it. Here's the issue. I wanted a borescope forever. I mean, I wanted one for 15 years, maybe even 20 years. I've wanted one. The deal is, like most stuff that I wanted the good one. And I'm not going to say the names, but everybody knows what the good one is. The good one is the one that's very expensive. And they have lesser models, but the one I actually wanted is the one that the barrel makers use. And it's the one that a lot of the factories use. In other words, the actual big factories. And it cost, you can go buy a new Honda four-wheeler for what it cost. And I talked to them and they talked to me, and they were actually willing to give me a pretty good deal because of what I do for a living and, make a video on it and stuff. The thing is, I just couldn't justify it. I mean, it's a lot of money. And so the real reason, too, that I wanted it is because it's made in the USA, right? I wanted made in the USA. I did not want, and I'm not going to say it, we're just going to show it. This is what I didn't want. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but I did not want that, okay? I wanted made in the USA or made in Austria or made in Germany, whatever. I did not want made where this came from. The issue is, these things are pretty darn good. Okay, I looked at 900 other people's reviews before I decided to go ahead and do it, and the fact is they're pretty darn good, and they are not that expensive. They're pretty darn reasonable, actually. And so I ended up with one, and that's what's here, right here. Okay, I ended up with the solid rod one, right? All right, and I ended up with a laptop to go with it that my wife got at a pawn shop for like $350. It's nearly brand new. So that was a pretty good deal. So in the whole darn thing, I don't even have probably $600. here's the why I want it. I mean, do I want it to look at chambers and to look inside cases? And yes, I want it for all that stuff. But the one thing I've always wanted it for is doing brakes, because of the way I put brakes on. Because the thing is, I don't know where the interference is. So when I go to try to actually get those two shoulders to come together without any interference, it's basically a game of process of elimination, because I don't know which it is. So I can go out on the end, take a couple thou off, and see if the brake will move back. Okay, and if it doesn't, I can go in there on the thread with a really pointed single point tool and try to extend that thread around just maybe 10 or 15 thousandths and see if it'll move in. And if that doesn't work, then I got to go in there where the corner is in that shoulder and try to drop that deeper at the shoulder of the barrel so that the radius on the brake, so they don't conflict in there, okay? The point is, it's just a process of elimination. It takes a ton of my time. And even sometimes when I got it, I was never sure that there wasn't two issues of interference. Okay, so this is what I wanted the borescope for, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this. So she needs to come over here with the camera and watch what we're going to do. This is cool. All right, so watch down there on the screen. All right, so I'm going to go into the brake. Those are the holes on the brake. We're going in. All right, this is what I want to show you. Okay, what you see on the right there, the top right, at the 12 o'clock position, that's the edge of the brake. What you see, the shiny stuff on the left side of the screen, that's the barrel. That is the gap in between. And again, you got to realize this is super magnified. I mean, that gap's only a few thousandths. But if you look down in the bottom of the gap, in other words, down in the bottom of the canyon or the chasm, you will notice that we are out of threads. So, we don't know if that's the only point of interference, but what we do know is that it is definitely the tenon is too long. Okay, the tenon is too long, so the brake can't move from right to left. It can't screw the whole way up against the shoulder. And if it could, that gap, the gap from there to there, will get smaller, approximately 3 thou smaller. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. Now, here, wait, let's go back in there. While we're here, let's look in the barrel. Again, people don't get to see this stuff. Obviously, there's a land right there. These are grooves. That's a land right there. And this has oil. It's not perfectly clean. I've been working here in the lathe on it, so it's got oil and stuff in it. All that little, I don't know, debris that you see. This is a Bartlein barrel, and holy cow. I mean, just look how smooth that thing is, even with all that crap in there. I mean, it's like mirror finish. It's just totally awesome. These we use Krieger, Bartlein, Brux primarily. I mean, we've used everything, but Krieger, Bartlein, Brux, and any of them that you look in, that's the way they are. The barrel makers have raised the art, the state of the art of barrel making so high that the barrels are just amazing. If you would have had a barrel like this 30, 40 years ago, it would have been the most accurate barrel in the world. Now, this is just a barrel. They turn these out like this all the time. And they are just amazing. Okay, so we're back into the brake. I mean, yeah, we're into the body of the brake, coming out here. Again, this is a Harles brake. And by the way, you look at that. I mean, there's more to that, more going on to that than what people think. I mean, look how those holes, I mean, it's same deal. It's pretty cool, and that's why we use it. So, okay, bring the camera back around here. So here's the thing. So we have a borescope. Now I can finally look inside brakes, and I can do a million other things with it. I mean, the laptop, the thing, the whole dang thing, pretty reasonable, pretty good. Again, it's not a review of I'm not saying the name of this. It's not a review of this, but you know what? If they're all as good as this one is, I don't see how you could possibly go wrong, because They're not very expensive, and it's really, really high quality for what it is. I will say one thing. If they're out there listening, if they would have made this rotate right there, in other words, if it would spin without having to try and spin the entire rod, that would definitely be, it would be a plus, it would be an asset. It would make it, even better than it is. But same deal, I got to tell you, pretty good. Okay, pretty darn good for what it is. And here's something else. We'll come back. There's actually a couple of things here I want to show you. So you realize now, I don't know, you probably don't realize unless you do this, but when I come back in here, and this is one of the reasons why I made the tenon long. All right, see, this is just 90 degrees, right? This is faced off and it's 90 degrees, but it's too long. All right, I need to shorten this, obviously, because that's what the borescope told me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and cut an 11-degree crown inside here, and I'm going to draw the crown the whole way out until it starts reducing the length of the tenon. So I'll go in there and I'll start 11 degree, 11 degree, 11 degree. I'm making real fine passes until I finally get out to where it's actually starting to reduce the length. And what I'll do is I'll reduce it, I don't know, 1, 2 thou until I can see that I'm taking material off of there. Then the great thing is I'll be able to put the brake back on. I'll be able to take the borescope. I'll be able to go inside there and be like, oh, great, I got clearance. All right, so here's the thing. That's 1 point of conflict or 1 point of interference potentially removed. If it's still, look here, so you can see, if it still won't hit up against the shoulder hard like I want it to, well then I know at least I've eliminated 1 point, and I'll be able to see how much gap there is, right? Because I always want this, I want the face of this as close in there as possible. In other words, I don't want a big gap, okay? So if it still won't go, and just because I've done this so many times, the next thing I'll do is, hold on, I got to get a pointer. The next thing I'll do is I'll go in there with a super fine tool, and I will take that cut right there at the end of that thread, and I will move it ahead. Move it ahead, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll screw it back on, and I'll see. Okay, if that still doesn't do it, like I said earlier, then you got to go in right here. You got to go take two 10,000ths off of the face of this, and then go deeper. Go deeper in radially than what we are, and then pull the tool out to the right until whatever little ridge is right here is interfering right in here. And by the way, there is another way to do this, and I'm sure any of the machinist guys out there will be, you can just knock out that first thread. In other words, I could have chucked this up, indicated it, although I'd rather not indicate off the outside of anything, but you could have indicated it and knocked that first thread out of there and eliminated at least this issue right here. But I really don't want to do that. And you know what? I want to mention something else too. Okay, so I showed you, I think I showed you, I'll show you again. I showed you where this borescope was made. And I'm not going to say this word because they'll demonetize this, and I don't want to miss out on this extra 10 cents. Yeah, like really, 50 cents at best. Notice my hand shakes. Look at this. Okay? My hand didn't shake 3 months ago. And guess what? You know that country? Yeah, well, I got it, and I nearly died. And because of that, I shake now. So I ain't saying the word because they'll definitely cut us off, but you don't want to catch it. Don't catch it. All right, that's all I'll say about that. Now, so we just talked about stuff made you know where. How about stuff made, made in the USA? Come and look at this. Again, Mikey hardly ever likes anything, like hardly ever. But I'm going to tell you something. Every now and then I get something that actually genuinely impresses me, and that's hard to do. Okay, I'm like Raquel Welch. Yeah, I mean, she could have lost a few pounds. Okay, so here's the deal. Look at this. Again, I just showed that to you before, but I don't know if you saw what the head stamp is. Okay, this is, where does it say it? Somewhere big. Right here. This is Peterson. This is made in Pittsburgh, not far from where I used to live, about almost 35, 40 years ago. 33XC Peterson. Okay. I have used Peterson now in 33XC, and I have used Peterson in 30 Nosler. And I don't want to short them. I used, and I have a lot of 30 Nosler brass, actually Nosler brand 30 Nosler. And you know what? It was pretty impressive. I'm like, it's pretty good stuff. There's no doubt about it. better than, right, better than them. All right, but when a customer sent me, I think he sent me 250, 300 pieces of Peterson 30 Nosler. Wow, wow. Again, I don't want to say bad about certain things, but it was the highest quality brass I may have ever seen. And I'm talking, you know what I'm saying, the L brand and the, yes, it better than those. It was amazing. And so kudos to Peterson, match grade brass. They aren't kidding. This is really, really, really high quality stuff. So, oh yeah, and I want to show you one more thing. People wonder when we disappear, stay over there and I'll come over to you. People wonder when we disappear for 2, 3, 4 months. I mean, did we die? Well, yeah, like I told you, I almost died. All right, came really close. But we also, you know, that's what we are. We go hunting. That's what this whole thing's about, is building hunting guns. I mean, we build bench guns too, but it all started because I couldn't buy a gun that was as accurate as I needed it to be. And so, you know, it's about hunting. So this is an Idaho bull, killed in the backcountry. I ain't telling you where. No telling Crick. We packed in. Where we killed this is about, oh, I don't know, a good 15 miles from any place you can get a pickup. Pretty far in the backcountry. There's not very much game because of the wolves. That's what probably get us demonetized too right there. But anyways, 400, one perfect shot. Perfect shot. And from the time that we heard and saw this elk to the time that I had to shoot, the whole entire time period, because there was actually 3 other people with us, because my daughter was with us, my wife was with us, and a friend of ours was with us. I had, they say, maybe 10 seconds. Maybe. 10 seconds, because he was chasing a bull. He stepped out into the open. He was chasing a bull. He was chasing a cow. He stepped out into the open. I simply did not have time to do all the stuff that we normally do. So I'm bringing this into this conversation also. You know, I always tell guys, you have to decide between, but at the same time, if you can use it and not get lost in it, it's as fast as there is. There's nothing faster than using the reticle, because you don't have to reach up and click. You don't have to do anything. I mean, range it. I have a Sig Sauer rangefinder, by the way. What's mine, the 2400? Right, so it does the calculations for you, assuming you put in the right data. And so all you do is click it, range it. It tells you the thing. It was actually 1.6 mils, and I just dropped down on the reticle. He stepped broadside for literally like a second. I was all ready, and also give kudos to Huber triggers. I was using a Huber 2-stage trigger. I love those things for hunting, because you take up that first 16 ounces and it's like literally, like he says, it's at the speed of thought. When you think go, it already's gone. It's already over. The shot's already thing. And it hit that bull so perfect at 498 that if you would have went up there with a pencil or a red magic marker and tried to draw an X on him at the exact spot you should hit, that's exactly where it hit. So anyways, pretty nice bull, you know, again, public ground, do it yourself. We took our horses with us, but we didn't ride, we led them. And it was really good that we did that, because I was really, this is right after I got out of the hospital and stuff. And so everybody's like, the doctor's like, you're going to die, you're going to die. And I'm like, I ain't dying. And they're like, no, she's like, you're going to die if you go on this. And my wife's like, you're going to die. Everybody's like, you're going to die. And so I just went, and I figured I will walk till I can't walk. And if I fall face down in the dirt, I'll lay there till I feel a little bit better, and then I'll get up and keep on walking. And guess what? It made me a lot better. We were in the backcountry for approximately how long?
Almost 3 weeks.
3 weeks we were back there, and I was walking, I bet we never walked less than 10 miles, and some days I would say we walked 20, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
18 maybe, 18, 19, we were walking 10 hours a day, and every day I got better and better and better. And so, and I will say though, one night I really did almost die. My lungs filled up with liquid. We were at like 9,000 feet there. Right. And I almost died that night. It was bad. I had to sit up and stuff. But pretty much, the reason I'm telling you this information is, if you do get sick, and if you're really having trouble and you're really struggling, getting out and getting active, walking, for me, definitely helped. walking, and really I didn't eat that much. We were eating like 1 meal a day. I got better, a lot better than most people. So, I mean, I still have a ways to go, but get out, get exercise, go hunting. I mean, it was awesome. So anyways, all right, so thank you, and we'll see you next time, which who knows when that'll be.